The unexpected ride. It was a sunny afternoon when Ryan first met the aliens. He never imagined that a routine trip would lead him to an adventure beyond anything he had ever experienced. Ryan was just walking down a dusty road, minding his own business. Life had always been simple for him: work, home, repeat. But today, everything changed. Out of nowhere, a hum filled the air, followed by a soft glow. Ryan stopped in his tracks, looking up at the sky. The clouds shifted, parting to reveal something he could barely believe: a sleek, metallic ship that hovered above the ground. It was smooth and silent, like nothing he had ever seen before. Before he could even think about running, the ship landed gently, its soft hum continuing as the doors slowly opened. From inside stepped two alien women. Their skin was a deep shade of blue, and their eyes glowed like tiny stars. They were tall, their movements graceful yet powerful. Ryan blinked, unsure if his eyes were playing tricks on him. But no, they were real, and they were standing right in front of him. One of them smiled. It wasn't a warm, comforting smile. No, it was something else, something mysterious. Her eyes seemed to pierce through him, like she knew everything about him, even though they had just met. "Do not be afraid," she said, her voice calm and melodic. But there was something strange in her tone, something that made Ryan's heart race. "We mean you no harm." Ryan stood frozen for a moment, unsure of what to say. His mind was racing, but his legs refused to move. He had heard stories, seen movies, but this was real and terrifying. The alien woman reached out a hand, and, without a word, she motioned for him to come closer. He didn't know why, but something urged him to obey. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was the strange aura of power that surrounded them. Whatever it was, Ryan found himself stepping forward. Slowly, the second woman, who stood just a little behind the first, spoke softly. "We need your help," she said, her voice just as hauntingly calm as the first. "There is a task we must complete, and you will be the one to help us." Ryan was still in shock, but somehow the words made sense. Help them? He couldn't even understand. What was happening? "What do you want with me?" he asked, his voice shaky but trying to sound brave. The first alien woman stepped forward, her gaze never leaving his. "We are taking you with us," she said. "There is much to explain, but time is short." Ryan opened his mouth to protest, but before he could say anything, he felt an unexpected force. The woman reached down, effortlessly lifting him off the ground. His feet left the dirt road, and he found himself in her arms, held as if he weighed nothing at all. His heart skipped a beat. He looked down at the ground, now far below him, and panic began to rise in his chest. "Wait, what are you doing?" he yelled, struggling slightly, but her grip was firm yet gentle. The second woman walked beside them, and Ryan saw that she was holding something that looked like a futuristic weapon, but she didn't point it at him. Instead, she smiled, as if amused by his panic. "You are safe," she said, her voice calm, as if carrying a soothing melody. But Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. How could he be safe when everything about this situation screamed danger? As they continued to rise, the ship came into view, its surface gleaming under the bright sun. The doors slid open, and Ryan was carried inside without hesitation. The interior was unlike anything he had ever seen. Smooth, metallic walls reflected the soft light that filled the space. The air felt strangely fresh and warm, unlike the cold air he was used to. There were no seats, just sleek surfaces and glowing panels on the walls that seemed to hum with energy. "Why me?" Ryan managed to ask, his voice still shaky. "What do you need me for?" The first alien woman looked down at him, her face unreadable. "You will understand soon enough," she said, her voice calm. "For now, just trust us." As she said those words, Ryan felt a strange sense of unease. How could he trust them? Everything about this situation screamed that he was in over his head. But even as his mind screamed to escape, he couldn't find a way to break free. There was no way out, no way to escape from the strange power that held him. He was no longer just a man walking down a street. He was a part of something far bigger than he could understand, and in that moment, Ryan realized something. This was only the beginning. The ride had just begun, and he had no idea where it would take him. The revelation Ryan's mind raced as he tried to grasp what was happening. The world outside the ship had disappeared, replaced by the cold, metallic interior of the alien vessel. His heart was still pounding in his chest, his body tense as he was carried deeper into the ship. Despite his fear, there was an undeniable sense of awe. He had heard stories of alien abductions, but this felt different. There was no violence, no chaos, just an eerie calmness. The first alien woman, still holding him effortlessly, finally set him down on one of the sleek surfaces. She turned, her glowing eyes studying him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. "You have to understand, Ryan," she said softly. "This is bigger than you, bigger than us." Ryan tried to steady his breath, still unsure how to react. He was a prisoner, but they hadn't hurt him. They hadn't even made him feel threatened till now. "What do you want from me?" he asked, his voice shaky but desperate for answers. The second alien woman, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. She too had the same glowing blue skin, and her eyes seemed to shine even brighter in the low light of the ship. "We need you to help us save our world," she explained, her voice as calm as the first one's. "You are not here by accident, Ryan." Ryan's head spun. Help them? How could he help them? He was just a normal guy. He didn't have any special skills, nothing that could be useful to aliens, especially not ones who had come from another world. The first woman raised her hand, as if sensing his doubt. "We didn't bring you here because we're desperate," she said. "We brought you because you're the only one who can do this." She paused, her glowing eyes locked onto his. "You have something inside you, Ryan. Something that can help us." Ryan blinked, trying to make sense of her words. "I don't have anything inside me. I'm just a guy. I can't help you." The woman smiled, a mysterious smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Oh, but you do," she said softly. "You just don't know it yet." Before Ryan could ask any more questions, the second woman moved to a console on the far side of the room. Her fingers touched the glowing panels, and the walls of the ship seemed to come alive. Holographic images flickered into existence, showing a planet unlike any Ryan had ever seen. It was a beautiful world, with oceans that sparkled, like diamonds, and forests that stretched endlessly across the surface. "This is our home," the first alien woman said. "We are the last survivors of a civilization that has been on the brink of extinction for centuries. Our planet is dying, Ryan, and we need your help to save it." Ryan's heart raced even faster. This wasn't just some bizarre encounter, it was a mission. The fate of an entire world rested in his hands. But how could he, a regular man, help them? The woman spoke again, her voice low and serious. "We are called the HFY. Our species has been nearly wiped out by an ancient force. But we have found something powerful that could stop the destruction. and we believe you are the key to unlocking it." Ryan's mind raced. He didn't know anything about saving planets or ancient forces. He barely knew how to handle his own life, let alone help an alien race. "What do you need me to do?" he asked, his voice trembling but curious. The woman looked at him, her expression unreadable. "You are the key, Ryan, but you must understand the cost." She paused, her voice growing softer. "You will change. You will become something more than human. You will have powers you cannot imagine, but you will also be a part of our world, bound to it forever." Ryan swallowed hard. He didn't know what she meant, but he knew it wasn't a simple promise. There was something heavy in her words, a truth he wasn't ready to face. But at the same time, a part of him felt an odd pull, something deep inside, a spark of excitement at the possibility of adventure. He was no longer just an ordinary man. The life he knew was slipping away, replaced by something far more dangerous and far more thrilling. The first woman moved closer to him, her eyes locked on his. "We have brought you here because we believe you can help us save our planet. But we will need to prepare you. There are things you must learn and powers you must awaken. The journey ahead is not easy, but it is necessary." Ryan took a deep breath, his mind racing. He had never imagined his life would lead him to a place like this. But now that he was here, there was no turning back. "What do I have to do?" he asked, his voice steadier now. The second alien woman stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You must embrace the change, Ryan. Only then will you understand your true purpose." As she spoke, the room seemed to grow colder, and the lights flickered for a moment. The air hummed with a strange energy, and Ryan could feel something shifting inside him. The power they spoke of was real, it was starting to awaken, and he had no idea what it would cost him. The decision Ryan sat in silence, absorbing the weight of the words the alien women had spoken. His mind was in turmoil. The idea of helping them save their planet was overwhelming, but the consequences, what it would mean for him, his life. His very humanity felt like an impossible burden to bear. The ship hummed softly around him, and the air was filled with a strange energy, almost like it was alive. The two alien women, standing on either side of him, waited in silence. It was clear they expected him to make a decision, but how could he? How could anyone? "You need to choose, Ryan," the first woman said, her voice calm but filled with an edge of urgency. Her glowing blue eyes seemed to pierce into him, like she was reading his every thought. "Time is running out for our planet. If you do not help us now, we may lose everything." Ryan swallowed hard. He was still just a regular guy. He didn't have the strength or the knowledge to save a planet. He barely had the courage to face the life he had back on Earth. And yet, here he was, standing in the heart of an alien ship, surrounded by beings from another world, with the fate of their civilization resting in his hands. "What happens if I refuse?" Ryan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The second woman, who had been quiet for most of the conversation, spoke up. "If you refuse, we will have no choice but to leave you behind. You will return to your life as if nothing ever happened. But the destruction will continue, and our people will fade into nothing." Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. It was clear they weren't threatening him, they were simply telling him the truth. But it wasn't just about their planet. It was about something much bigger. What did it mean to be human when faced with such power? What did it mean to be a part of something greater than himself? Ryan looked down at his hands, the same hands that had held a simple job, lived a simple life. He wasn't a hero, he wasn't a savior. He was just a guy. And yet, here he was, standing on the edge of an unimaginable choice. "What do you need me to do?" Ryan asked, his voice shaking slightly. He wasn't sure where the courage had come from, but it had finally surfaced. There was no turning back now. The first woman smiled slightly, though her eyes remained serious. "You will undergo a transformation, Ryan. You will be linked to our world in ways you cannot understand right now. The powers inside you will awaken, and with them, you will be able to help us stop the force that threatens us. But be warned, the change will not be easy." Ryan nodded, though a part of him was still uncertain. He didn't know if he was ready for what was to come, but something deep inside him told him that he had no choice. If he said no, everything he had seen, everything they had shown him, would be in vain. "You will no longer be the man you once were," the second woman added, her voice soft but firm. "But you will become something greater, something that can save us all." Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, letting the words sink in. Was he ready for this? Was he ready to give up everything he had ever known to become something different? The first woman reached out, placing her hand on his arm. "You don't have to decide now, but understand this time is running out. The force we face is relentless. It will not wait for you to make up your mind." Ryan could feel the pressure building. His heart was racing, his mind spinning with questions and doubts. Was this his destiny? Had he been chosen for a reason? Or was he just a pawn in a game that he didn't even understand? He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. There was no easy answer, no simple path. The transformation, the unknown. Powers it was all too much. But there was one thing that was clear. He couldn't just walk away. Not now. Not when the stakes were so high. "I'll do it," Ryan said, his voice firm. "I'll help you." The two alien women exchanged a glance, and for the first time, a hint of warmth passed between them. The first woman nodded. "Good. The transformation will begin shortly. But remember, Ryan, once this process starts, there is no going back. You will be bound to us, bound to our world." Ryan swallowed hard, the reality of his decision settling in. There was no going back. But for the first time in his life, he felt a sense of purpose, a sense that he was meant to do something important. The first woman stepped closer, her hand glowing softly as she reached toward him. "Prepare yourself," she said gently. "This will not be easy, but you will be the key to our survival." As her hand touched his chest, Ryan felt a surge of energy flood through him. It was overwhelming, like every nerve in his body was suddenly alive, pulsing with a power he had never known before. His vision blurred, and for a moment he thought he might collapse, but he didn't. He stood tall, his body vibrating with the alien energy that now coursed through him. He could feel that something inside him was awakening. The process had begun. The unexpected power Ryan's head swirled as the transformation began. The energy that surged through his body felt like nothing he had ever experienced, like a fire igniting in his veins, spreading from the core of his chest to the tips of his fingers and down to his toes. He gasped, staggering for a moment as the overwhelming force of it hit him all at once. The room around him seemed to pulse, the walls flickering in and out of focus. His body felt lighter, yet stronger, and there was a strange sensation of clarity in his mind, as if he could suddenly understand things he never could before. His heart raced, but it wasn't from fear anymore. It was something else, something deep within him, urging him forward. His vision sharpened. He could see every detail in the room, the soft glow of the ship's metal walls, the faintest shimmer in the air, the alien women standing still, watching him with unreadable expressions. "Relax," the first alien woman said, her voice calm but firm. "You are beginning to understand." Ryan blinked, trying to focus, but his mind was racing. It felt as if every thought he had was being amplified, every sensation heightened. He looked down at his hands, seeing the veins pulse with an unnatural energy glowing faintly beneath. His skin, there was power there, but it was not his. It was something else, something alien. "What is happening to me?" he asked, his voice strained, his body trembling with the effort to control the sudden onslaught of energy. The second alien woman stepped forward, her gaze soft but serious. "You are awakening, Ryan. The power inside you is ours to guide, but it is yours to command. It is ancient, a gift from our people, passed down for generations." Ryan's breath hitched as he tried to make sense of her words. "I don't feel like me anymore," he muttered, almost to himself. "You are not the man you were," she said gently, "but you are something more. You have become a vessel for the power of the Jurai, and now you must learn to control it." Ryan closed his eyes, trying to steady himself. The energy inside him was wild, like a storm raging within his chest. He felt as if he could shatter the walls around him with a single thought, but at the same time, he had no idea how to harness it. He wasn't ready for this. He wasn't prepared to be anything more than human. As if reading his mind, the first woman placed her hand on his shoulder, her touch strangely comforting. "You are stronger than you know. Trust in the power, Ryan. It is part of you now. Let it guide you." But Ryan wasn't sure he could trust it. The power felt like a part of him, yet it was alien, unpredictable. How could he control something that wasn't even his? "Focus," the second woman said, her voice soothing but firm. "Think about your surroundings. Feel the energy in the room. The ship, the air, the walls, they are all connected. You can feel it, can't you?" Ryan nodded slowly, his eyes still closed. He could feel it. The pulse of energy, the hum of the ship, it was all interconnected. His mind grasped it, but his body was still unsteady. "Now," she continued, "reach out with your mind. Don't fight it. Let the power flow through you." Ryan took a deep breath and tried to follow her instructions. His focus sharpened, and he stretched his awareness outward, like reaching out to touch the very fabric of the ship. He felt it something soft, like an invisible thread connecting him to everything around him. The walls, the air, the ship itself. It was all alive with energy, and now, so was he. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. A ripple ran through the floor beneath his feet. Ryan's eyes snapped open, wide with shock. The second alien woman took a step back, her eyes flickering with approval. "You did it," she said, her voice filled with a mix of awe and respect. "You connected with the energy." Ryan's heart pounded in his chest. He had done it. For a moment, he felt a surge of power, a rush of confidence. But then the feeling faded, and doubt crept back into his mind. "I don't know if I can control it," he admitted, his voice tight with uncertainty. The first woman smiled slightly, though there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. "That's why we're here," she said. "We will teach you. You must learn to harness this power, Ryan. The fate of our world depends on it." The second woman nodded. "The force we face is unlike anything you can imagine. But now, with this power, you have the strength to stop it. You just have to trust yourself. Ryan stared at his hands again, feeling the energy pulse beneath his skin. He wasn't sure if he could do it. He wasn't sure if he was ready. But the truth was clear, he didn't have a choice. There was no turning back now. The ship seemed to hum louder around him, the energy in the air intensifying as he struggled to find control. His body was no longer just his on it, had become something else, something that could change the fate of an entire world. But how would he control it? How could he even begin to understand the power that was inside him? The first alien woman spoke again, her voice more serious now. You must prepare yourself, Ryan. The journey ahead will be difficult, but you are not alone. We will help you learn, help you grow stronger. Ryan's eyes met hers. For the first time, he felt something more than fear. He felt the spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, he could do this. But only time would tell. The betrayal, the days blurred together as Ryan tried to come to terms with the power coursing through him. The alien women, whom he had started to trust, guided him through his transformation. Every day, he grew stronger, his connection to the ship, to the energy, becoming deeper. His powers were expanding. He could feel things before they happened, hear whispers in the air, and move objects with nothing but his mind. It was both exhilarating and terrifying, but despite all the progress, Ryan couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was off. He began to notice small things, glances exchanged between the women when they thought he wasn't looking, hushed conversations in alien tongues that he couldn't understand. It wasn't that they were unkind, but Ryan felt like he was being kept in the dark. One evening, as he sat in a quiet corner of the ship, trying to control his abilities, he overheard them talking in hushed voices. Their words echoed through the walls of the room, carried by the ship's strange energy. He doesn't know the whole truth, the first alien woman said, her voice laced with a hint of bitterness. He believes he's helping us, but he doesn't realize the cost. He doesn't understand what we really need. The second woman's voice was softer, almost pleading. We can't tell him yet. Not until he's ready. We must ensure he is fully transformed first. Ryan's heart sank. He had been lied to. They hadn't been completely honest with him. The truth was more than just a secret. They were keeping it, was a betrayal. His mind raced as he pieced together the fragments of the conversation. They didn't need him to save their world, not in the way they had told him. No, they had been using him, and now he was just a pawn in their game. He stood up abruptly, his heart pounding in his chest. He couldn't just stand by and let them manipulate him any longer. But as he turned to confront them, the door slid open, and the first woman walked in. Her expression unreadable. Ryan, she said, her voice steady but cold. I see you've overheard our conversation. Ryan didn't answer right away. The anger inside him was rising, burning hotter with every passing second. You lied to me, he said, his voice barely a whisper, but it felt like a shout. You didn't tell me the truth. You never wanted me to save your planet, did you? You just wanted to use me. The first woman's eyes softened for a brief moment, but the warmth quickly faded. You misunderstand, she said, her voice calm to calm. We never intended to deceive you, but you needed to be ready for what comes next. What comes next? Ryan asked, his fists clenched at his sides. What exactly do you need me for? The second woman entered the room now, standing beside the first. It's not about saving our planet, Ryan, she said quietly. It's about saving our entire species. Ryan's heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? The first woman sighed, stepping closer. We are not the last of the Jurai, Ryan. Our people are scattered across the galaxy, lost, hiding from an ancient enemy that we cannot defeat alone. You are part of something bigger than you can imagine. Ryan's mind was spinning. You're telling me I'm not just here to help you. I'm here to what? Be part of your war. The first woman nodded. Yes, you are the key to unlocking our survival. You were chosen because of your bloodline connection to the energy we've tapped into. You're more than just a tool. To us, Ryan, you are the only hope for the Jurai. Ryan's head was spinning, his thoughts racing. He had been so focused on the idea of helping them, of being part of something important, that he hadn't questioned their true motives. He had believed their lies, their promises of saving a dying world. But now he saw the truth. This wasn't about saving a planet. This was about war, and he had been dragged into it. The second woman spoke again, her voice low and soft. We didn't want to tell you. Not yet. But now that you are changing, now that the transformation is nearly complete, you must know. There is no turning back, Ryan. Ryan took a step back, his mind reeling with everything he had just learned. He felt betrayed, used, like a tool in their grand scheme. But more than that, he felt something else, anger, fear, and a deep, aching sense of betrayal. The women who had guided him, who had made him believe he was doing the right thing, had been deceiving him all along. What now? Ryan asked, his voice harsh with emotion. What happens to me now? The first woman's eyes narrowed, her tone turning cold. Now you must choose. You are bound to us, Ryan. You've already accepted the transformation. You are one of us now, in blood and power. You will fight for the Jurai, or you will be left behind. The words stung like a slap in the face. Ryan felt the weight of the decision hanging over him. What choice did he have? He had already crossed the point of no return. The power inside him, the transformation, they were irreversible. But now, he knew the truth. He wasn't saving anyone. He was a soldier in a war he didn't understand, fighting for a cause he had never signed up for. Ryan's fists clenched, his body tense with the anger that burned inside him. I never asked for this, he said, his voice low but filled with fury. You used me, and now I have to decide whether I'll fight for you or against you. The room was silent for a moment, the weight of his words hanging in the air. The first woman stepped forward, her eyes searching his. You are more powerful than you realize, Ryan, but you must decide who you want to be, a pawn in our game, or a king in your own. Ryan looked at her, the betrayal still fresh in his heart. For the first time, he truly understood the cost of his decision. There was no going back. The war had already begun, and whether he liked it or not, he had a role to play. But which side would he choose? The final confrontation, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling of being trapped. Everything he had known, everything he had trusted, had crumbled away. He was no longer the man he had been, a simple, ordinary man walking through life. Now he was caught in the middle of an ancient war between the Jurai and their enemies, a pawn with a power that was both a gift and a curse. But as he sat in the dimly lit room, trying to make sense of it all, something inside him shifted. He couldn't let himself be just a tool anymore. He had to make a choice. He couldn't trust the women who had deceived him, but he also couldn't ignore the reality of the situation. The power was his now, and no one, not even the Jurai, could take it from him. Ryan stood up, his body crackling with the strange energy that pulsed through him. He could feel the power inside, simmering beneath his skin. He could feel it growing stronger, as if waiting for him to make the first move. He clenched his fists, his muscles tensing in anticipation. The door to the room slid open, and the first woman entered, her expression unreadable. "Ryan," she said softly, her voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of warning. "It's time. The forces are closing in. You must make your choice." Ryan turned to face her, his eyes burning with intensity. "I've made my choice," he said, his voice steady but filled with resolve. "I'm not going to be a pawn in this war. I'm not going to fight for you, for your planet, or for anyone else. I'm going to fight for myself." The first woman's eyes narrowed, her lips curling into a faint, knowing smile. "You misunderstand. You are already part of this fight, Ryan. You can't simply walk away. The transformation is complete, and with it, your fate is sealed. You are one of us now. You belong to the HFY." Ryan felt the power surge through him, his hands glowing faintly with the strange energy. His heart raced, but this time, it wasn't out of fear. It was a fire that burned deep within him, a determination that he hadn't felt before. "I belong to no one," he said, his voice firm. Suddenly, the second woman appeared in the doorway. Her expression was cold, her eyes distant. "You cannot escape this, Ryan," she said, her voice low but unwavering. "You are bound to us. There is no turning back." Ryan's eyes flicked between the two women, the anger bubbling inside him. "Then I'll fight for my freedom," he spat. "I'm not your soldier, and I'm not your puppet." Without another word, he raised his hand, focusing the energy that hummed within him. He could feel it, could sense it building like a storm, ready to be unleashed. The room seemed to vibrate with the power in the air, the walls crackling with the energy he controlled. It was overwhelming, but Ryan didn't flinch. He had to fight. He focused, drawing the power into his palm, shaping it into a concentrated burst of energy. With a sharp movement, he released it toward the two women. The blast of energy struck the wall beside them, sending sparks flying and the air crackling with force. The women flinched but stood their ground. Ryan's heart pounded in his chest, but he didn't stop. He had to make them understand he wasn't going to be controlled. Not by them, not by anyone. "You cannot win, Ryan," the first woman said, her voice colder than before. "We are the HFY. We have been fighting this war for centuries. You are nothing but a spark, a fleeting moment in time. You cannot change the course of history." Ryan stepped forward, his eyes locked on hers. "Maybe I can't change the past, but I can change my future. And that's all I care about." The second woman's eyes darkened, her expression hardening. "You are not just fighting for yourself. The fate of an entire species rests in your hands. Don't be foolish, Ryan. We gave you power to protect us, to save us." Ryan shook his head, his mind made up. "You don't get to choose my path. For me, I'm not your savior. I'm not anyone's hero." Before either woman could respond, the ship shuddered. The faint hum of the energy that had filled the air seemed to grow louder, more intense. Ryan's vision blurred for a moment, and then, suddenly, everything became clear. He could see it, the force they had been running from. The enemy was closer than they had realized. The ship's sensors blared, and a cold mechanical voice filled the room. "Warning, incoming hostile forces detected." Ryan felt a rush of adrenaline. It was happening. The war had reached them, but this time he wasn't going to be a tool. He wasn't going to be a pawn in their game. He had power, and now he was going to use it on his own terms. He turned. To the women, his expression determined. You want me to fight? Fine, but I'm doing it my way. The first woman's eyes flashed with a mix of anger and something else, perhaps regret. You're making a mistake, Ryan. But Ryan didn't care. The energy inside him roared, and he focused it into a shield that enveloped him, protecting him from the blast of enemy fire that erupted outside. The ship shook violently, but Ryan stood firm. The enemy was out there, but he was ready. For the first time since this whole journey began, Ryan felt in control. He had no idea what was coming next, but he knew one thing: he was going to fight for his freedom, no matter the cost. And if he had to face the enemy alone, he would. The last choice, the sound of blaring alarms filled the ship, and Ryan's senses were heightened. The hum of energy that had once felt alien and terrifying now felt like a part of him, as if it was guiding him. The ship's interior shook with each blast from the enemy forces outside. The walls seemed to pulse, vibrating with the tension of the incoming battle. Ryan could feel the power within him swirling in his chest, urging him to take action. The two alien women stood silent, their eyes never leaving him. The first woman's face was hard, her expression unreadable, but there was a flicker of something. In her eyes, regret, fear, it was hard to tell. The second woman stood still, her jaw set, her posture tense, waiting for Ryan to make his move. Ryan turned to face them, the full weight of his choice pressing down on him. The enemy was closing in, and the fate of an entire species rested in his hands. The last choice had arrived: fight with the Jurai, or fight for himself. There was no middle ground anymore. Ryan, please, the first woman said, her voice softer than before. You don't understand what's at stake. This is our last chance to stop the enemy. You are the key to our survival. Ryan's eyes flashed. And what about my survival? You've kept me in the dark this entire time. You used me. I don't owe you anything. The second woman stepped forward, her tone desperate. We never wanted to deceive you. You were always a part of the plan, but you are more than just a weapon. You are our last hope, and now you're throwing that away. Ryan clenched his fists, his eyes burning with anger. You don't get to decide what I do anymore. I've learned everything I need to know about you. I'm not your soldier, and I'm not your savior. The ship lurched again, this time with more force. The enemy was getting closer. Ryan could feel the power building within him, that strange, overwhelming energy. It was both thrilling and terrifying, and it made him feel alive in a way he had never known before. But as much as the power surged within him, he knew he couldn't stay locked in this battle for control with the Jurai. The first woman's voice softened, almost pleading. Ryan, we can still win this, but we need you. The transformation was only the first step. Now, you must help us stop the enemy. If we don't, everything will be lost. We can't save ourselves without you. Ryan stood still, weighing her words. He had always believed in the importance of individual choice, his own path, his own future. But this was bigger than him. He had the power to change the course of the war, the power to decide whether the Jurai would continue to exist or fade. Into nothing his mind raced. Was he ready to take on this responsibility? Was he ready to be part of something greater than himself? Could he sacrifice his freedom to help save a people who had deceived him? Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, letting the questions swirl in his mind. The last choice was no longer about choosing between the Jurai and himself. It was about what kind of person he wanted to be. Did he want to remain in control of his destiny, or would he risk everything for something that was greater than his own desires? The ship shook again, and this time Ryan felt the weight of the decision fully settle on his shoulders. He had the power, he had the choice, but there was no escaping the truth now. Ryan opened his eyes, meeting the first woman's gaze. Her expression had softened, and for the first time she looked vulnerable. The second woman watched him carefully, her gaze steady but full of expectation. "I've made my choice," Ryan said, his voice firm. "I will help you, but on my terms. I won't be anyone's pawn. You'll have to trust me now." The first woman nodded slowly, her face hardening as she accepted his decision. "You have made the right choice, Ryan. Together, we can stop the enemy. Together, we can save the HFY." The second woman stepped forward, her eyes filled with a mixture of relief and something else, perhaps respect. "We're not asking you to be our soldier. We're asking you to be part of something greater. This is your fight now, Ryan." Ryan felt the weight of their words sink in. He wasn't just fighting for the HFY anymore. He was fighting for his own future, for his own freedom, and for the world he would help create. He had made his choice, and now he had to live with it. The energy in the room shifted. Ryan could feel the tension in the air as the ship's defenses activated. The enemy was on the verge of breaking through, but Ryan felt something else, as well, a sense of unity, a bond forming between him and the HFY. Despite everything that had happened, "I'm ready," Ryan said quietly, his voice filled with determination. "Let's finish this." The first woman's eyes glimmered with a mix of admiration and resolve. "Then let's fight." With those words, the ship's defenses lit up, and the final battle began. Ryan's heart pounded in his chest as he stepped forward, feeling the power surge within him, ready to face the enemy head-on. This was no longer just a fight for survival. This was his chance to define his own future, to decide his place in the universe. The last choice had been made. Now, there was only one thing left to do: win.